Due to the recent tragedy in Connecticut, America has shifted its attention even more towards the debate over Second Amendment rights. Demand a Plan in particular has gained popular attention with its call to ban assault weapons in an attempt to prevent future incidents. The purpose of this video is to explain why this and other moves to ban firearms are misguided and how they dodge the real issues that cause violence. Now, before we get into statistics, objectivity should be established. Despite the horrifying nature of the Newtown shooting, it is not sufficient justification for a bill that will change the economy and culture of the United States as much as an assault weapons ban would. It was a domestic terrorist attack, and terrorist attacks occur everywhere, even in civilized countries like England. Whether they use a plane, a bomb, or a rifle, terrorist attacks will occur, and banning potentially dangerous items will not prevent them. As has been said many times, it is not logical to ban planes after 9/11 or rucksacks after 7/7. Now that this has been established, we can go on to dissect each portion of the typical arguments against the Second Amendment. One of the major arguments that proponents of anti-gun legislation use is comparing the homicide rate of the United States to those of more anti-gun countries. However, this does not actually prove any causation between gun laws and crime rate, as it ignores the factors that actually contribute to crime rate. For example, in Britain, a country with a naturally low crime rate, after the government banned pistols in response to a similar massacre, the rate of crime involving handguns rose 40% in 2 years. During the same time period, general crime rate remained stable. It does not appear that handgun crime had been influenced by a third variable, so we can attribute the rise in handgun crime to the ban. As such, it can be concluded that the banning of weapons creates a situation in which criminals remain armed by illegal means, while lawful citizens are disarmed, allowing for predation. It can also be concluded that the disparity between the crime rates of the United States and the United Kingdom is caused by a factor unrelated to legislation on firearms, as banning handguns has actually had a negative effect in Britain. Now, there may be occasions in which a ban on weapons follows with a decrease in crime. However, these examples do not lend credibility to the argument against legally owned firearms, as it is understood in statistical sciences that correlation does not imply causation. For example, the International Action Network on Small Arms cites a drop in homicide rate in Bogota as being caused by a ban on guns. This is not proper evidence of causation, as it ignores that the general trend in Colombia, especially in Bogota, has been a drastic decrease in homicide since 2002. The real cause of the decrease in homicide is most likely a reduction of the influence of cartels around the same period. In addition, after the often-cited Australian gun buyback program in 1996, there was no significant immediate effect on homicide rate. Any reduction in homicide rate later in history can be more clearly attributed to a general decrease in crime across the civilized world. Now let's focus on the so-called assault weapons themselves. The prominent regulation that is being called for on guns is a ban on high-capacity magazines. However, in the Columbine school shooting, which occurred during the 1994 assault weapons ban, only Claybold had high-capacity magazines, yet Harris fired more shots than Claybold did, using magazines acceptable under the ban. The capacity of their weapons did not actually affect their destructive power, as reloads do not take a significant period of time to complete. But if guns don't increase crime, what does? There are at least two clear possibilities. First of all, America has the highest mental illness rate of any country in the world according to the World Health Organization. Second of all, it's just north of the major drug and homicide centers of the world, and one of the major consumers of drugs. As a nation, these issues should be addressed, and not pushed aside for the placebo of banning firearms.